Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my review of Season 1 of True Detective. Now, a lot of you think it's Season 1, this was a miniseries. It was not a miniseries. It's just like American Horror Story. The director, the creator, Nick Pizza, whatever his last name is. Sorry if that was, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I've never actually heard it being said. I've only seen it written, so, he's even said it's going to be different every season, so that's the reason I'm saying that. It's different every season. So, Season 1 of True Detective, I'm not going to beat around the bush here. I'm pretty sure I said I'm Caleb, because if not, I'm Caleb. I'm going to be reviewing it. I will be your reviewer this evening. And, okay, so, True Detective Season 1, the basis of this show and the series is that Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson play two detectives, which I'm sure you can tell by the title. McConaughey's character, Rust Cole, he's new to that department, and they're kind of like, this dude's weird, because he's a Matthew McConaughey type character, real hostile towards him. He always gets into a fight. He always gets into a fight with one of them in the first episode. In fact, one of the other detectives was great. He's just really outside the box thinker. He's really like a Matthew McConaughey style character that you see him play a lot. He just says this really weird stuff. Like he has this one where he rants about how, well, he doesn't rant, but he kind of rambles on about how human race should die out. Just really weird shit, and I loved it. I love every second of his character. I think even though I loved Harrelson's character, I thought McConaughey's character, his portrayal of Rust, really stole the show. So to me, he was the standout. He was the star. And, of course, you got Harrelson's character, which is Marty Hart, or Martin Hart, whatever. Fucking Marty is what they call him, so Marty. He's kind of more of this kind of like straight-laced homo, he's got a family, he's got 2 kids, but he likes to fuck women half his age, because he don't give a shit. And even when his wife this is a spoiler, but even when his wife finds out, and he promises not to do it again, he does it again 7 years later. He doesn't care. He don't give a shit. Harrelson loves women half his age. Wouldn't shock me if he was like that in real life too. I kid the Harrelson, but nonetheless, delving into basically the whole point is they're 2 detectives, they want to hunt this serial killer, because he fucking killed this girl, prostitute, well, a female prostitute, and, put antlers on her, and it was really weird. And basically in 2012, which is 17 years in the future, they're way different. They haven't talked to each other in 10 years because they had a falling out in 2002. Well, the beginning of the series starts in 1995, and it's just one of those weird things where, but you're seeing what they're doing in 1995. They're being interviewed by the police about a similar case in 2012. In 2012 they're there, and basically the information we're given by the end of the first episode is basically they worked together from 1995 to 2002. They had a falling out and left the force, whatever. And then in 2012, they're being interviewed about a murder that looks exactly like it. And they're basically like, hey, if you guys caught this killer in 1995, how's he killing someone in 2012? And, well, if I can delve into spoilers a bit, it's because they did catch a killer in 1995 who was connected to the Yellow King, who is the big killer. However, he was not the actual killer. The Yellow King is not even revealed until the end of episode 7. This brutally, brutally scarred man who earlier is referenced as this girl gets chased through the woods. She's from a green-eared spaghetti monster. It's because, green, paint. He's got paint on his ears. Because he paints houses, and he's got these terrible, terrible scars. And to a little kid, that might look like spaghetti, strangely enough, and that's how they could interpret it. So, because he does weird shit. He, kills children with his other people. And, of course, basically, like I said, there's going to be a lot of very spoiler-ridden. I'm going to keep it spoilers until the end of this video, so there's that. But, basically, the thing that stood out to me was acting. Acting was so amazing. Harrelson and McConaughey were at the top of their game. Everyone in this show is at the top of their game. Another cool thing, I recognize actors from Boardwalk Empire and Orange is the New Black, which are 2 great shows. I noticed them, a couple actors from there, and it was great. And like I said, everyone was at the top of their game. Every single person. I cannot think of a person that was not fantastic. Except maybe Harrelson's daughter, but then again, according to Harrelson, she's the captain of the varsity SWAT team, and that's why he slapped her. Well, okay, that was because she kind of got fucked by 2 guys in the back of a car, but, nonetheless, and then Harrelson beat the shit out of them in prison, so that was kind of cool. But like I said, it was an overall entertaining series. It was able to tell a 17-year story in 8 episodes, so in an 8-hour time frame, basically. They told the story over 17 years. I don't know how the fuck they did it, but it was fantastic. I thought it was going to be like a 5-season show, but it's probably going to go to 5 seasons because of how awesome the writing is, and, every season's going to be different, but I didn't expect it to be like 17 years and 8 episodes. How the fuck they pulled that off, I will never fucking know. It was great. just like I said, everything about the show was fantastic, from the writing, the production. Oh, the end of episode, I believe it was 4. It was 3 or 4. Basically whenever Russ infiltrates that biker gang, get that, Ginger. I'm not being discriminatory towards redheaded people. The dude's name was Ginger. And the shots, those last 10 minutes of that episode, some of the best directing and filming I've ever seen. I don't know the exact word for it, but it was fantastic. Like, they did that shot climbing over the fence. It was awesome. And, it really delves into addiction to a degree, because if you don't know, of course, Harrelson's obviously shows signs of sexual addiction, really wanting to fuck chicks half his age. McConaughey, they show him do heroin. And plus, he's an alcoholic, which you discover in the first episode, and obviously you discover in the 2012 time frame. And it's just one of those things, too, where McConaughey, like I said, I said this before, but his acting was at the top of his game, which McConaughey never gives less than 110%. And, of course, True Detective was no different, because McConaughey was amazing. Like, I'm going to keep saying this throughout this video. And everything. Like, Harrelson was fantastic. Like I said, everyone was fantastic. I'm going to step to talk about how fantastic they are, delve a little more into the story. So, basically, they catch these meth Nazi satanic dealer people who, like, killed and raped kids, and it was awful. And they shot them, and they killed them in cold blood. But, basically, From now on, I'm going to say spoilers before, but, I don't see why you wouldn't be listening to this if you hadn't already watched the show, so whatever. But basically, all that happens, where they kill those guys, and they lie, and the police saying, oh, they were attacking us, but they really didn't. There was no fire from any of them. But you know what? Hey, they killed these guys who fucking fucked and killed children. So you know what? Who cares? They killed molesting meth dealers, satanic Nazi people, biker gang. So who cares, man? And it was cool, and the symbolism in the show. Symbolism is so great. The references they have every single thing matters. Everything you hear in the show, there's not one thing that doesn't matter later on. From the early references to the Yellow King. There's so many. Like I said, just every little thing you see, delve in. Like I said, there's so much, of course. There's little hints at different stuff, and it's just fantastic. And the crowns, so many crowns show up, hinting at the Yellow King. For example, if you remember the scene where Harrelson's daughters are playing, and they throw a crown up onto the tree, and then it's a few years later, the crown is somehow still up there, and it delves in, where you see the younger one, I don't remember her name, walking into the house, and you see Audrey get out of which is the older one who becomes a fucking, she fucks 2 guys in the back of a car. Do I really need to delve into what she is? And then she gets out of the car and flips off her friends, she's a goth. Oh, she's a goth. And then basically, all that great, cool symbolism, like I said. Now, why they really needed to include Woody Harrelson slapping his daughter and calling her the captain of the varsity slut team, I will never know, but it was a fucking hilarious scene, and I quoted that scene for a week afterwards. Having many conversations with my friends where I would call them the captain of the varsity slut team. I didn't slap them because that would have been fucking rude, but you see my point. Now, it's just one of those things where, like I said, this show is fantastic. The writing was incredible. Like I said, okay, from now on, I'm going to say spoilers ahead, because I'm going to be going major into spoilers now. So, basically, we get to the point where, by episode 6, which was my favorite episode of the season, basically, it's just this crazy thing where they're and this is where, they're in 2002 at this point, they learn about the Yellow King, that the Yellow King is still someone, so they're thinking, hey, maybe the killer is not dead, maybe we didn't catch him. Maybe we didn't catch him. They're just thinking that. With the whole Yellow King stuff, whenever he's interrogating that dude, and it was just so, and all in all, it just goes Zurich, and then Marty, Harrelson's character, fucks another, woman half his age. She's all I want you to give me my first ass fucking, and he's all oh, I can't do that. I'm gonna do it anyway. And then, it just kind of proceeds to where, his wife, Maggie, sees pictures of her on his phone. She's oh, and then he comes to dinner and he's well, I'm hungry. And then she just looks at him and I guess I was always too skinny for you. She has a nice ass. And then it just turned into this whole argument between them. And, oh, wait, I'm sorry, I left out a big part. Excuse me, moi. So she found out, and then she went to Rust's apartment, and Russ was all drunk. He's like, alright. And she was all like, oh my god, Rust, what's going on? Why did you cheat on me? She's like, I didn't know about it. And then she kind of, well, she didn't rape him, but she certainly took advantage of his drunken stupor and proceeded to let him do things to her on the counter, which lasted about 30 seconds. I mean, you would expect McConaughey to have a little more stamina and durability, whatever. But so they fucked for like 30 seconds, and you don't see anything, which, whatever, that's cool. I don't expect that. I think her name's like Michelle Monaghan or something. I wouldn't expect her to show anything. That's cool. I don't care. That's not like necessary for a sex scene. That sex scene didn't need to be like this like giant pornography shoot. It just had to be it was what it was, and it was a fucking funny scene. You know, it was great. They go on, and she's all like, "I fucked Rust," and he's like, "What?" She's like, "I've been fucked like that since before the girls were born." And holy shit, that was a great mean line. That's something you always want to say to your husbands if you fuck other dudes. And basically, the girls out there, if your husband fucks another woman and then you go and fuck another girl, no, fuck, that didn't make sense. Okay, never mind. Ignore I said that. So basically, the whole point is, that was a great scene where Harrelson proceeds to choke her for a second, and like, he's like, argh, and then he stops, and then he goes, and the next day he goes to work, and what might be honestly, my favorite scene in the show, Harrelson sees that Rust is coming. Okay, I'm just going to call them by the character names, because I'm getting confused. Okay, so Marty sees that Rust is coming in, which is McConaughey's character, of course, and he's all like, well, fuck. And he, starts, like, unbuttoning his shirt and putting his stuff away, and he just goes outside, and he just starts running. And him and McConaughey just meet in this fucking just badass, just, fuck, they have this great fight, and it's fantastic, and the police are like, no, and McConaughey's like, I quit. And Rust, okay. McConaughey. I'm just going to call him McConaughey and Harrelson, because I'm going to fucking do that. Whatever. So then, basically, McConaughey quits, and Harrelson's like, oh, fuck you. And then, of course, back in 2012, there's this great scene where Harrelson just goes, and, McConaughey's like, want me to buy you a drink? He's like, yeah, sure, whatever. They haven't seen each other in 10 years, of course, in 2012, because of the falling out they had in 2002. Then he's like, I second that. How about you buy me a beer? And then, basically, they have a beer and they discuss it. It turns out that this entire time McConaughey's actually been keeping tabs on this Yellow King, and he's got this whole setup in a storage unit, basically. In a storage unit, he has this giant setup. It's basically all about, the Yellow King, all the fucking stuff. He found this videotape when he was like a burglar or something. This is the only thing that made no sense to me, but this videotape of this cult, like, killing a little girl or something, a child, and it was really fucked up, and Harrelson was like, nah. Made him very sad. And that was basically that. And it wasn't this really huge conspiracy. And, they tracked down this one guy who worked for the police force, and, went to, and Harrelson golfed with him, and then they were like, we want information. He was like, Apparently they hired a sniper, and that was cool. And then, so, basically, all of that shit happened. They got the information they needed. They figured out where this Yellow King just might be. And you know what? They hunt for this Yellow King after a really because the Yellow King, if you don't know, the whole symbol you see on the back of the girl's, shoulders, the prostitute at the beginning that's killed, the first one with the antlers, you know the one I'm talking about if you watch the show. He's got that carved into his back, which is really messed up. And also you see him finger his overweight wife, that was disgusting. It was really one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. It was fucking gross. It was so gross, and the dude himself was very out of shape, weird-looking guy, and just, oh god, just the little sausage fingers now. He was like a weird Danny DeVito. he was almost like Danny DeVito, basically. He was like, imagine Danny DeVito, but if Danny DeVito was a little taller, a little more fucked up looking, had like scars, and he had like different looking hair, like, he's almost like Danny DeVito. So imagine like Danny DeVito looking like that, fingering a fat woman. It's disgusting. It's the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of disgusting things on the internet, people. Trust me. Now, basically, so Marty and Rust, they go, and they're all like, all right. And, please tell me you get that reference. It's McConaughey, okay? Don't, like, be in the comments like, where's that, all right? So, fuck you. So, basically, the whole thing going on here is they're like, all right. I didn't mean for that to be a joke. Whatever. But, continuing on, McConaughey and Harrelson, they go, and they're all like, oh, shit, and they find him, and McConaughey does, in fact, see him and starts chasing him, Harrelson is able to call the police, after putting a gun up to the dude's wife, or whatever she is. Might be a girlfriend, or... No, she's his cousin. She's like his cousin. She's like related to him. But they're like still fucking, and they're in some sort of relationship, so... Equally... you know what? The cousin thing makes it 10 times more disgusting. And then... God, I gotta tell you, man. That was intense. It was this intense, creepy scene of McConaughey and Harrelson, trying to find the Yellow King, and they're going through this whole, like, maze thing he has set up. It's like these little because there are these branches, little branch, like, Cajun bird trap demon things, and, those little, like, I don't know how to explain them. Like, you'd have to, what I'm talking about if you watch the show. And they have, and, he has these branches, and he sees those things all around. And then it leads to this throne room of sorts, like... It's just kind of this circular dome, and there's like a hole in the top so the sun comes in. Basically. And it's a throne room. It is. That's how I described it. I thought I described it as the throne room. And there was like a throne, and, because he's the Yellow King, he's got to have a throne room. It makes sense. Symbolism. Symbolism, my children. And basically, the whole thing is McConaughey's like, oh shit, and the dude comes out of nowhere, stabs McConaughey. McConaughey's like, oh, and he keeps stabbing McConaughey. McConaughey, he can't shoot him. He's trying to fight him off. And then here comes Harrelson. Harrelson's gonna fight him, and he throws an axe at Harrelson. And then Harrelson's like, oh, I got hit with an axe. And then basically takes the axe out, and he's like, oh no, my gun, because his gun got kicked away. And they're just struggling. McConaughey takes his gun back in his hand. He shoots the Yellow King in the face. No more Yellow King. Yellow King is dead. And both of them are fucked up. Rust is bleeding like a stuck pig everywhere. Harrelson is even bleeding from his shoulder, but it's not as bad. And the police are there, and then you just see this great scene where Harrelson and McConaughey are... Oh, and one thing I should... and they're like, oh man, we gotta fix you. And then that all happens, and the police are there, and then... it's like, oh man, I thought that was actually the final scene for a second. But one thing I also should include is McConaughey, Rust, whatever. He has these hallucinations. He's had through the entire series. Where he, from drug addiction problems and alcoholism, he just has these... And basically the reason he got stabbed, it wasn't because he was stupid. He was right there. It's because he saw this, like, space. He saw space. He saw this vortex deal. And he was a hallucination. That's why he had the opportunity to get stabbed. I felt like I should tell you guys that. Well, you of course have watched the show. Please tell me you watched the show if you're listening to this. Please. So basically, that all happens and whatnot, and you see a hospital, and Harrelson's there, he's like, I'm in the hospital. And then, basically, and then, okay, this is weird. I make weird noises, I'm sorry. And then, so some other, the detectives who you've seen in the 2012, interviewing them are like, and he's like, how's Rust? And I expected them to say he's dead. And they're like, oh, he's in a coma. I was like, oh, okay. So then eventually Rust comes out of his coma. But not before we don't see Maggie, who is Harrelson's ex-wife, and the kids, Audrey and what's-her-fuck. And all I'm saying, why does Audrey still look like a 17-year-old girl when she walks in? She doesn't have any lines, but you see her for like 2 seconds. Shouldn't she be 27 at this point if she was 17 or 16 or 17 in like 2002? Shouldn't she look like she's 27? Oh, and also, it's also mentioned that Audrey is, like, really fucked up in the previous episode. I guess that she has, like, mental problems and has to take medication, which might explain why she was the, captain of the varsity slut team, as Harrelson made it so clear. Maybe she has, like, sexual problems and she has to take medication. I don't know. Maybe she has and, she has a nice boyfriend, apparently. And the little one is, like, an artist or some shit. I don't really care. The little one never mattered. She never mattered. And then... Oh, fuck. And then, basically, McConaughey wakes up, and he's all happy. Well, he's not happy at all. I don't know why I said that. He's McConaughey, and this character's never happy. And then, Harrelson goes, and he's gonna go talk to him and be like, hey, friend. And he's like, hey, friend. And then he's like, never change. It flips him off, and they flip each other off, and it's this nice moment. Both of them are, it's just a nice moment. And then later... You see, Harrelson is ready to go, and he takes McConaughey outside, and he's in a wheelchair, and he gives McConaughey a little present. He's like, we getting engaged? It's like, nah. And then it's a package of, like, I believe it was Camel. I think that's the brand name for cigarettes. He's like, oh, you'll remember. And he's smoking a cigarette, and Man, it was this fantastic scene where McConaughey goes on to talk about how he's in a coma. Something about how he felt his, like, because if you don't know, which you should, he had, like, a daughter who died, who's, like, I don't remember how old she was, but she was, like, really young. She might not have even been born. She might have been, like, a stillborn of some sort. And he said that when he was in a coma, he just felt his daughter's love and a bunch of, just the things you expect Russ to say. It was just, it was insane. It was fantastic. It was just this fantastic dialogue. It leads to Harrelson picking him up and saying, and they're like, he's not going to go back to the hospital, and they're just going to go. And that all happens, and he takes him, and he just takes his good buddy, who, I'm pretty sure he could still die. I'm pretty sure. And they go to the car, and then you just see up at the stars, and you see these constellations, one of which I'm most positive is a deer. And, the antlers. And I think the other one was a crown, Yellow King, I'm pretty sure, but I just know what the deer one was. I'll have to go back to look at what the other one was. And that is it. And that was the most complete finale I've ever seen, I think. Next to maybe Breaking Bad, but, well, I'm not talking about a series finale, I'm talking about season finale. Granted, this was the ending of their series, like, we're not going to see Rust and Marty again. And it was just fantastic. It was so complete, like I said. The story from episode 1 was just fantastic. Just everything about it. It felt so complete. All the loose ends were tied, and we just felt, it was satisfying. Like, it was just like, Harold, you know what? They may not have caught all of the guys who were involved in the cult. They only really caught the Yellow King. But they even, there was this great conversation they even had in the hospital where it's like, you know what? We got the worst of them. We caught the worst one. We caught the one of them. It's not our job to catch them all. This is not Pokemon. We do not catch them all. And basically, it's just one of those things where, because it opens up the doors for even sequential seasons where maybe they're, for all we know, that could be the setup. Maybe these other guys are going to be hunted down sequentially in every single season. Maybe that could happen. So maybe they're all going to be tied together. But who knows? Maybe it's just going to be left there. Yeah, who really knows? Who knows who's going to get the rest of this fucking crazy child fucking killing cult? But someone will. Like Batman. Batman likes to stop child killers. Anyway, nonetheless, it was, like I said, this season was fantastic. Everyone was fantastic. Like I said, I say fantastic, but man, fan-fucking-tastic. The acting was superb. It was great. This is officially one of my favorite seasons of all time. True Detective has been my top 5 shows ever, I believe. Favorites. Of course, next to, like, Sons of Anarchy, Dexter, Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, as far as some of my favorites. Like, just fantastic. I really, really, really loved it. I loved it. I'd recommend this show. And, like I said, I'm pretty sure, this is very spoiler-ridden, so, like I said, I'm assuming you've watched the show. But if you haven't watched the show and you've kind of skipped through the spoilers, or maybe you skipped just now because you skipped through when I was talking spoilers, then I say to you, my dear child, watch this show. It's fucking awesome. It's going to be 8 episodes of fucking awesomeness. I can't even put into words how awesome this show was. I'm overrating it like crazy, but watch the show. It's a 17-year story taking place in 8 episodes. It's fucking awesome. You should watch it. No reason not to. So watch it. Enjoy it. I will say this. It will make you say, alright, alright, alright. A bunch, because I said that a lot. It will make you, the final 3 episodes of this season will make you, to every single person you talk to, the beginning of your conversation will start with, True Detective was really good this week. Until the next episode. Basically, for 3 straight weeks, I've said almost every single day, this week's True Detective was really good. But every True Detective was really good, like I said. So, feel free to like this video, subscribe if you want to see other great content. If you're a wrestling fan, we got wrestling stuff, which I'm involved with. We got C&C Reviews, Wrestling with Mac. We've got our, just normal topic videos with our little panel we do. I've got my, if you like this review, listen to others. Game of Thrones, Seasons 1 through 3 review coming next week. I should have a guest for that. It's not completely set in stone, but I'm pretty sure a good friend of mine's going to be helping me with that. Nonetheless, like I said, C&C Reviews should be uploaded. This week's C&C Reviews should be uploaded before this, so that's cool. All that greatness, guys. All that greatness. Like I said, it's just do all that. Like I said, subscribe, like, comment, tell me what you thought. Tell me what you thought of True Detective. Did you love the finale? Are you insane and you hated it? If you hated the finale of True Detective, leave me a very detailed answer in the comment section, because I need to know these things and why. What is wrong with you? I kid. We all have our different tastes. But really, if you did not like this finale, please fucking explain to me why. It makes no goddamn sense why you wouldn't like this finale, but nonetheless, just tell me. Like I said, subscribe if you want great content. Like C&C Review, whatever. I've already said this shit. Great, whatever. all that nonsense. My name is Caleb Johnston. You can follow me on Twitter at TheAwesomeClark. I'm going to be switching accounts soon. Ooh, more of that to come on C&C Reviews next week. And by next week, I mean, this is going to come up on like Friday or Saturday. I'm recording this like Tuesday night. So, still next week's, because this week's C&C Reviews will be up before this review. Like I said, guys, you can follow other hosts at Jamie Lee Mack, who helps me with my show and with Wrestling with Mac, at RadioCaker13, who's on Wrestling with Mac, at Sweet Chin Musics, who does stuff with us every once in a while, at That LSU Fan, who's my normal co-host on C&C Reviews, but is on break. So, guys, enjoy all that nonsense, and that's what I thought True Detective. I loved it. Like I said, tell me what you thought. This is Caleb, and I am saying goodbye. Hope you enjoyed it.